tax-free. It's not deferring it. You're growing this Roth.
And yeah, money in a Roth grows tax-free.
Tax-free. But when you withdraw that, do you have to claim that as regular income tax?
Tax-free.
Tax-free completely.
Completely.
That's a good deal.
Yeah, no kidding.
So how
and a lot of people don't take the government up on it.
Welcome to today's Retirees with Certified Financial Planner Wayne Maslyk of Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management. Anchored in family values, Wayne offers practical advice to help you get the most out of your retirement years. For more information, visit today'sretirees.com. Now, here's your host.
And welcome to today's Retirees with Certified Financial Planner Wayne Maslyk of Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management. Family-focused tax and retirement planning. That's a kind of a great statement, Wayne, when you talk about family-focused. I mean, when you work with families, you work with retirees, mainly you work with 55 plus, but you help them through the whole process, the planning, the taxes, the financial, even though you're not an attorney, but you help them work with an attorney to get the legal part of the whole thing set up so that the plan works.
Yeah, I mean, for my clients, there's people that come in, the man comes in, he's like, yeah, I handle all the finance. And I'm like, I need to meet with you and your spouse, if they're married. And so I ask some questions during the planning process and suitability process and getting to know your client process. And, I got to ask both people if they're, I don't just want one side of the households, right?
Right.
So if they're not into that, I tell them to go find someone else,
Sure.
right? So, my business is made up of mostly families, husband, wife, adult kids, grandkids.
Sure.
That's the lion's share of my client base. And the parents could be 80, they could be 55, 60, or anywhere in between. And for most people, it's about them and their family. It's not just about me, them, me. It's about them and their spouse, and the mister wants to make sure that Mrs. will be taken care of if something happens to him, vice versa. They don't want to leave their kids hanging. They don't want to leave a mess for their kids. They want their grandkids to remember them. So yeah, that's kind of the family focus aspect of it.
Right. Absolutely.
If they're not family focused, typically, we won't work with them.
Right.
I mean, it's just because it's not a good fit.
Right.
Now, if it's a widow or a single person, they still have families too.
Sure.
Even without kids.
Right.
And it's funny, the uncle wants to take care of niece and nephews. I mean, almost like it's their own kids.
Sure.
It's cool.
Yeah. And that's the way families are supposed to work, by the way.
Yeah.
Well, that's an aside. I just wanted to make sure that, our audience is aware that, this is what you do. But today we're going to be talking a little bit more in depth about Roth IRAs.
Roth conversions.
Roth conversions.
Specifically. We've talked about Roths in the past and that, but, things are going on in this country now where people may want to give Roth conversions a harder look. And we're going to talk about the pros and cons of that today.
So when you say there are things happening in the country today, what can you be more specific? I think I know where you're going.
You need to ask. So we got the government printing money, right? We got the government, raising debt ceilings, taking on more debt, deficits out of control. That's the main thing, and the fact that taxes will most likely go up in the future.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. We're at historically low tax rates right now. So you have the government spending like mad, and currently we have the lowest tax rates in maybe history.
Sure.
Right? For most people, they're in the 12% bracket. So those two factors alone, with a lot of people thinking taxes will be higher in the future, but they're low now, that gets people's wheels turning about Roth conversions.
Sure.
So I'm not sure, do you know what a Roth conversion is?
Let me take a stab at it, and then you can correct me like you always do.
You're usually right.
Wayne's favorite answer to my questions are it depends. No, I think what you were referring to is taking a traditional IRA and that you pay or you get a tax deduction for when you invest in that traditional IRA, and converting that to a Roth IRA, paying the taxes now, and then paying no tax when you redeem it.
Right. That's exactly what it is.
Oh, I got one right.
Yeah, but it doesn't just have to be traditional IRAs. It could be 401ks that you put into a rollover IRA.
Oh.
You left your employer. Now the 401k or the 403b becomes an IRA, or the 457 becomes an IRA. Just an IRA is an account, individual retirement arrangement or individual retirement account that's never been taxed.
Okay, right.
So when you do a conversion, you can convert all or a portion of that IRA to a Roth.
Okay.
And you pay the tax on it before it's due.
Okay.
Right? Taxes due on an IRA when you make withdrawals after 59 and a half.
Okay.
Okay? Taxes are also due on an IRA once you turn 72. You have to pull your minimum distributions out. So when you do Roth conversions, you're voluntarily saying, okay, I'm going to go ahead and pay the tax on a portion of this IRA or all of it before I have to, in order to get it into a tax-free account that's going to grow tax-free. That's the Roth, and you could make withdrawals tax-free in the future. And I'm going to just pay the tax before I even have to.
Okay.
A reason to do that, taxes are historically low now.
Sure.
So you're going to be paying taxes at historically low rates. 2, we feel taxes will go up. So why do I want to pay a higher future tax rate? Right.
Sure.
And then 3, you have an account that is going to grow at a tax-free rate. So you're going to get a larger number in that account over time because it grew at a tax-free rate. So those 3 things are reasons to think or consider potentially doing Roth conversions.
Sure. Now, when we're out of time for this segment. Question for next time.
Yeah.
When we get back, when you're talking about the investment tax. Now, do you claim that Roth as income when we get back?
I'll tell you when we get back.
All right. We're going to take a quick break right here. Excuse me. Go to Wayne's website, todaysretirees.com, todaysretirees.com. We'll be back right after this.
So we've all heard the word rollover when referring to an investment account at work, or your 401k, your 403b, your 457 plan. What do you do with that when you've left your job and your 401k or other retirement plan is still at your old employer? Or what if you've retired? One thing you don't want to do is you don't want to leave your money, your retirement account, in your employer's 401k. Quite frankly, your old employer or current employer is the boss of your retirement account. So if you have questions about what to do with your rollover, you roll it to Wayne. Get it in your own hands, where you have the whole universe of investments and choices, not just what your employer tells you can pick from. So contact my office for a free consultation on how to roll over your old retirement account. A certified financial planner is a true professional, a well-rounded, holistic planner that helps you in all areas of your financial life. Estate planning, tax planning, financial planning, insurance planning. We have to sit for a 10-hour, 2-day exam, at least back when I took the test. It's not just a weekend designation where you go somewhere for a couple days, pay a couple $100, and now you have letters behind your name. One thing I think is important is that you try and find an independent certified financial planner. Somebody that doesn't work for a big firm. I myself own my company, Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management. The buck stops with me, an independent, certified financial planner, one of the only ones on the north coast of Ohio.
Welcome back to today's Retirees with Certified Financial Planner Wayne Maslyk of Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management. When we left last time, we're talking about Roth IRA conversion, converting to a Roth IRA. But when we left, the question I was asking Wayne is, when you defer these tax-free, it's not deferring it, you're growing this Roth.
And yeah, money in a Roth grows tax-free.
Tax-free. But when you withdraw that, do you have to claim that as regular income tax?
Tax-free.
Tax-free completely?
Completely.
That's a good deal.
Yeah, no kidding.
So
and a lot of people don't take the government up on that.
So my next question is, how long is it going to be before the government figures out it's a good deal and changes that?
They've known it for a long time, and it's, it's the government wants people to save. Mm-hmm. It's not as bad, big, mean monster that sometimes we think it is. The more people save, the less they're going to rely on, Social Security and government types. They want people to be independent, and that's why they give you tax breaks on IRAs, tax breaks on 401ks,
sure.
Tax-free Roths if you want. I mean, it's they could change the tax law whenever, but if you have money in a Roth, I can't ever see the government changing their mind, saying, nope,
sure.
That's not going to be tax-free anymore.
Sure.
I could see them say that we're not going to give you Roths anymore, any future deposits, but they're not going to. So that's another reason to go ahead and get money in a Roth. I mean, it's tax-free. And then if you pass and leave it to your kids, it's tax-free for them too.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Do they have to pay the death tax on it?
There is no death tax now in Ohio or federally, unless you're multi-millionaire.
Okay, so it's
the limit's like $5 million. I mean, they're talking about bringing it back down to $1 million. That would be bad. But yeah, that would be included in if we have a death tax at the time. Yes. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So,
now, if like in a regular IRA or 401ks, if there's a death tax, I mean, you could get a double whammy: a death tax and income tax on IRAs.
Oh.
Yeah.
So why, it's
ugly. That's the way it used to be.
Why aren't people taking advantage of this Roth?
I don't know. You tell me. We try and teach people about it, but I'll tell you why. It's real simple. They have Roth 401ks too, right? A lot of companies now have Roth 401k or traditional 401k. We have a Roth IRA or traditional IRA. If I put $1 in a traditional IRA, I don't have to pay tax on that dollar.
Right.
Right?
Sure.
If I put it in the Roth, I got to pay more tax that year.
Right.
So you're allowed to put, if you're over 50, $7,000 in a Roth.
Okay.
Okay. So let's say you're in a 20% bracket. Say you do okay, and you have extra money. 22%. We'll just say 20 so 20% of 7,000 is $1,400 bucks.
Mm-hmm.
If I put the $7,000 in a traditional IRA, I write the government a $1,400 less check.
Sure.
If I decide to put the $7,000 in a Roth, I got to write a $1,400 check to the IRS.
Okay.
So.
But in 20 years.
Well, that's right. It makes more sense mathematically to put in the Roth.
Right.
Because it's going to grow to a larger amount tax-free, and taxes will probably be higher in 20 years, right? But too many people want the instant savings now.
Sure.
Otherwise they should all do Roths.
Right. Well, and then when you withdraw from a regular IRA that you didn't pay taxes on, you're going to pay tax on that. Does that also, for your heirs, if they, if you pass and
they got to pay tax on it. So the current law is a non-spouse beneficiary, so non-spouse, they have to pay the tax within a 10-year period. It used to be they could take the rest of their life. It's called a stretch IRA. That's not the case anymore. They got 10 years to pay the tax.
Okay.
See, so with a Roth, that $7,000 you put in is going to grow in 20 years to a number, say $20,000. It's all tax-free. You put the $7,000 in an IRA, you're going to get a tax write-off on the 7. That's going to grow to 20,000, right? But you got to pay tax on the whole 20,
Sure.
right? So the
Right.
Roth makes the most sense mathematically.
Right.
You just feel the pain sooner because you got to get the tax paid on it.
Right.
Both in a regular contribution or when you do conversions. You're paying that tax before it's due.
But like you were saying earlier, the tax rate right now is at historic, or at least when I say historic, in the last 50, 70 years.
Yeah.
So it just makes complete sense
You'd think.
to do the Roth. So if a guy or a family is
to-
sitting at home and they're watching this and they have X dollars in traditional IRAs because that's what they were advised to do at some point, and they did it, how hard is it to switch that?
Those are what the Roth conversions. That's what we started the show with. It's very easy.
So they just come in and sit down with you and
It's a Roth conversion form. Absolutely.
and move it over into a Roth conversion.
It can be the same type of investment. So I say like our risk money, it's market money. We use TD Ameritrade as a custodian. So if they had an IRA with us and they want to do Roth conversion, right, we'd open up a Roth and then we just fill out the Roth conversion form. We ask them, do you want to pay the tax out of the conversion amount? Right? Say it's 100 grand and we're going to do 10,000 conversion. So do they want the taxes on that 10? Because now is when we got to pay the tax. Do they want them to come out of the conversion amount? So the 10 will be less of a number. It might be 8,500 or whatever. Or do you want to just pay it at tax time?
Sure.
That's it. Sign, date it, done.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Folks need to really take advantage of that.
If they can, couple people that can't do them are the ones that are married filing separate. For some reason, the government doesn't let you do Roth conversions if you're
Okay.
married separate. Or if you're a large wage earner, if your income, I don't know what the limit is now, 150, 130, something like that. If your income's over that, then they don't allow you to do the Roth
Okay.
conversion.
All right.
Everyone in between can do them.
Wow. It sounds to me, now again, your family's different than my family, but it sounds like a great opportunity to take advantage of historic low taxes and to grow your investment tax-free. I think it's a win-win. We'll be back right after this. Go to Wayne's website, todaysretirees.com, todaysretirees.com. We'll be back in one moment.
A certified financial planner is a true professional, a well-rounded, holistic planner that helps you in all areas of your financial life. Estate planning, tax planning, financial planning, insurance planning. We have to sit for a 10-hour, 2-day exam, at least back when I took the test. It's not just a weekend designation where you go somewhere for a couple days, pay a couple $100, and now you have letters behind your name. One thing I think is important is that you try and find an independent certified financial planner. Somebody that doesn't work for a big firm. I myself own my company, Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management. The buck stops with me, an independent, certified financial planner, one of the only ones on the north coast of Ohio. So we've all heard the word rollover when referring to an investment account at work or your 401k, your 403b, your 457 plan. What do you do with that when you've left your job and your 401k or other retirement plan is still at your old employer? Or what if you've retired? One thing you don't want to do is you don't want to leave your money, your retirement account, in your employer's 401k. Quite frankly, your old employer or current employer is the boss of your retirement account. So if you have questions about what to do with your rollover, you roll it to Wayne. Get it in your own hands where you have the whole universe of investments and choices, not just what your employer tells you can pick from. So contact my office for a free consultation on how to roll over your old retirement account.
Welcome back to Today's Retirees with certified financial planner Wayne Maslyk of Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management. We're talking about converting or Roth IRA conversions. Is that the proper way to say it?
Yeah, not just, we've talked on other shows about contributions and Roth 401k. So just today, I want to, we just want to focus on conversions.
So a question that comes to my mind as we're talking about Roth conversions, there are those that don't need the money. I mean, they've done well. They have these IRAs, these investments, and let's say they come into you and you help them convert to a Roth IRA. But what about their heirs? Their surviving spouse, whatever. This just transfers to them seamlessly, kind of.
Yeah, if it's a spouse, they just do an assumption. So they'll do an IRA assumption or spousal continuation.
And there's no taxes?
No. And then when the kids or whoever inherits it, no tax. Yeah.
You would think people would be lining up at your door to help to get this done.
Well, it's like, you say, honey, to your wife, do you want to pay $1,400 more in tax this year, or times two if it's just two people putting $7,000 in, or $2,800? Do you want to write Uncle Sam a check for $2,800 more this year, or $2,800 less? $2,800 less, traditional IRA. $2,800 more,
Right.
Roth IRA. That's why.
Right. And when you take it out, but at some point, at 70 or 72, you have to start withdrawing this.
72. And it'll be, if it's a traditional IRA, it'll be on a higher number because it'll grow.
Sure.
And probably at higher tax rates.
The way we're looking right now, much higher probably.
Yeah. So
Right.
those are reasons to consider doing the Roth conversions now.
Sure.
So people that we've given some people why do it, and I wrote down some notes who should do it. Well, it's the people that feel that what we're talking about is true. Taxes will be higher in the future, and they're historically low now.
Sure.
And mathematically, it makes sense.
Right.
Now, you don't just, I recommend not just doing them. Like if you're a client of mine, we would have our CPA run a projection and show how much Roth conversion you're interested in and what that would do to your taxes. Okay, because it's going to be more income. So some people are in a 12% bracket, and they'll do Roth conversions up to the 22% bracket.
Okay.
Some people aren't paying much tax on their Social Security, and if they do a Roth conversion, it's going to have more income come into their tax return, which will cause them to pay more tax on their Social Security. So it's like a double tax.
I see.
You pay the tax on the Roth conversion, and you're going to pay more tax on your Social Security.
Right.
So I like to know those numbers. We talked about family-focused retirement and tax planning. This is tax planning.
Sure.
Right? And you want to know the numbers before we do Roth conversions. You just don't do it and get surprised in April.
Sure.
Some people do. Some people, they don't care.
Right.
Just get that Roth converted, get my money into a Roth, get my taxes paid, and I just had a client I talked to a couple days ago this week, and he had inherited money from a relative. A lot of it was IRA money. And since the market's been up, as we've talked in the past, so the account he inherited is already up enough that if he converted the whole thing into Roths, the gain in the market since he inherited it would pay for the tax.
Oh, okay.
So he'd be back all converted to a Roth, and it's back to its original amount he inherited.
Wow.
Yeah. So it depends on who in your situation. So you don't just want to go out and convert to Roths. You got to have tax planning in the process too.
Well, that's what you do. That's what you help families put together this plan, and that's part of it.
That's what I do. Not everyone does it.
Right.
Some people, they go to their broker and say, hey, I want to convert to Roth. Okay.
Yeah.
Sign here. And then, they get surprised in April.
Sure. Yeah. But that's why when folks come to see you, you look at the entire picture, you look at the family situation, you look at everything, and you say, well, these are the 2 options or 3 options that we can do, and this is why, and here's what I would recommend for your situation.
Kind of, but yeah, sort of.
I mean, that...
A lot more than 2 or 3 options. But yeah.
See, I told you, it depends.
Yeah, it depends. Yeah, it depends, again, on the family. And and what's important to those people.
Sure.
You know, it's different for everybody.
And that's what I like about working with Wayne. When I say I work with Wayne, we've been doing this show for several years now, and that you keep coming back to what's important for me. I mean, when I say me, for that client.
Yeah, just like these Roth conversions, some people, they don't care about future taxes, or they don't care about the tax brackets historically low now. They want the tax break of a regular IRA now. They want more money in their pocket now.
Sure.
They're not thinking 20, 30 years from now.
Right.
And that's all right.
Right.
You know, the show we talked about, our last show about, you know, what's important to you based on how you spend your time and money, you know, boats or campers or motorcycles or race cars. You know, it's all different.
Sure.
So, you know, people set up their finances according to their values.
Right. So, friends, this is why Wayne does what he does. This is why you need to go in and see, you know, sit down with Wayne and go over the options, go over, you know, where you are today, where you think you'll be 20 years from now. Family makeup, you know, and in today's society, family makeup changes all the time. You know, you have, you know, divorce, and you have remarriage, and you have steps, and you know,
Death.
Death. All of these things are going on, and you need to stay abreast of that and keep everything current. And that's what Wayne was talking about in the show. You know, you got to take all of this into consideration. You can do that with Wayne by picking up the phone at 866-626-3990. 866-626-3990. We're out of time for this program, but we'll see you the next time.
A certified financial planner is a true professional, a well-rounded, holistic planner that helps you in all areas of your financial life. Estate planning, tax planning, financial planning, insurance planning. We have to sit for a 10-hour, 2-day exam, at least back when I took the test. It's not just a weekend designation where you go somewhere for a couple days, you pay a couple $100, and now you have letters behind your name. One thing I think is important is that you try and find an independent certified financial planner. Somebody that doesn't work for a big firm. I myself own my company, Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management. The buck stops with me, an independent, certified financial planner, one of the only ones on the north coast of Ohio.
Thanks for tuning in to today's Retirees with Certified Financial Planner Wayne Maslyk of Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management. Visit todaysretirees.com or call 866-626-3990 to schedule a no-cost appointment with Wayne. Today's Retirees is brought to you by Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management, family-focused retirement and tax planning services, anchored in family values. Information and opinions discussed on today's Retirees do not necessarily reflect the opinions of this station. Opinions expressed should not be substituted for individualized consultation with a qualified financial advisor. For specific information, call 866-626-3990 or visit todaysretirees.com.